Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And I rise to speak on the Education and Training Amendment, Senior Secondary Pathways Reform and Other Matters Bill 2021, which basically is a bill that is going to provide transitional arrangements regarding the Victorian Pathway Certificate and Vocational Major within the VCE, and to enable Victorian Registration and Qualifications Authority to extend the 12-month training period regarding RTO's management for the transition from superseded training packages. So basically it's a bill that we very much support, and you've heard it outlined quite in a detailed manner by my colleague, the Shadow Minister for Education, Mr Hodgett. So I'd like to take an opportunity to discuss some of the issues in the education system, which I think this bill is trying to address, and I endorse that approach, and I absolutely embrace this opportunity. The Minister in his second reading speech actually said that in the Firth review that the Minister refers to in his second reading speech, one of the principles that this change in the legislation will address is lifting the quality and perception of vocational education. I want to highlight that point because I think what we've got is something in society that we seriously need to address, and I hope this bill begins to address that. I think for the last at least 4 decades, we have been going down a pathway of not celebrating the diversity of skills our children have when they're in an education facility. We've been very academically leaning, and we've been encouraging our kids to strive, and that's all very well, but at the expense, I think, of recognising that striving also includes the professions that require skills as well as academia to be successful in. So what I'm saying is, over the last 40 years, I think we've gone away from celebrating and valuing people whose skills are around using their hands, being able to have great interaction with other people, supporting and helping them. And we've used our education system as a platform to just make people, children in particular, think, and parents, that unless you're academic, unless you're going to do very well in VCE, and unless you're heading over to university institutions, then you're not successful. And that's a real worry, because what we're doing is making those children who aren't able to absorb information in a written form and then regurgitate that information and showing they understand it in an exam technique format, then it's making them feel like failures. And that's what I'm seeing at our children who aren't highly successful in academia are falling out of the system and sometimes feeling like failures. So this opportunity that we have here to embrace VCAL and to embrace vocational education and highlight it as equal to the academia of getting an ATAR score is highly important, and I cannot push this enough. I remember when I was young and my 2 brothers and my sister and I, so a family of 4, the boys were deemed as dumb and the girls were deemed as smart, because boys often mature later. Now, I don't know whether that's a fact or not, but it certainly seems like my experience. Now, my brothers both became very successful, having left school. I think one was in year 9 at 15, the other in year 10 or 11 I think, but very much unable to pretty much cope from a reading and writing perspective too well, and they'd probably hate me saying that. Both went on to become very successful. I remember my brother at 19 said, "I want to be a policeman." He started learning to spell properly, and he asked for my help, and I used to ride my bike, he used to run beside me, and I'd say, "Spell hospital, spell whatever," and help him along. He's a very, very successful detective today. So is my other brother, who ran a business, and left school at 15, as I said. Now, I remember my eldest son coming home and saying to me, at about the age of 15, and please excuse my French because it is his words, not mine, but "Mum, if you don't go to university, you're a dumbass." And I thought, yes, I know, he shouldn't have even said that to his mother at such an age, but he did. And I remember thinking, where did that come from? It certainly didn't come from his parents, it didn't come from our family unit, but it's the culture. Now, I absolutely am very proud of all people who do well in what they choose to do in life. Now, I always talk about the bus driver that got my kids home and to school safely every day, the most important person in my life. Now, we should be celebrating these professions, and that when kids in school want to become a bus driver or a personal care attendant and look after an ageing community in an aged care facility, for example, or become that barista that you say hello to every morning that makes your day because they're bright and they're sparky and they're happy and they start your day off well, these people are incredibly important too. Now, I ran a farm for a very long time and spent a lot of time trying to encourage people into the profession of agriculture. And it is a profession, and it is a really important profession to actually create food that of a high quality and a high standard. And people who, want to become farmers often are very intelligent and very capable at recognising grass species and soil types, and you learn as you go. I mean, I just did endless education, and it was relevant, so it was interesting. And that's the theme we've got to give our kids that understanding of. You will love what you learn. If you want to become a bus driver, you need skills to make sure you understand the road rules, to make sure you understand safety, to make sure you have a rapport with the children, and these are skills that we need to make sure we embrace. And the school, through vocational education and training processes, can really embrace this. But I think the culture we have in the schools, and I'm not denigrating the teachers in any way, shape or form, it's simply the culture as a society we've been going down the line of. So I hope this provides a fantastic opportunity to really change that, and I hope the government uses this opportunity to address that culture. We've addressed diversity in the workplace, we've addressed bullying in the workplace, we've addressed family violence through campaigns. I actually think we need a campaign to embrace vocational education and training and show those children that don't want to go on to academia that they are valued and they are valuable. So our system then actually creates an environment that's of equality to all types of diverse learning skills. Now, in our region, we've tried to embrace this opportunity, and many things like the hands-on learning program that the Warrnambool College have, led by Leon Carey, a great tradesman in our area who's very community-minded. And then at Brower, where we've got Bruce Miller, who also runs a similar program. They actually grab those kids who are falling out of the system and actually getting into a little bit of trouble sometimes because they're not engaged properly because what they like to do isn't understood. They've created a program where they can build stuff, repair stuff, help our community by doing things, like tables and chairs for community areas at the beach or the parks. And these kids love it, but trying to get funding for those programs out of the Education Department has been nigh impossible. And that tells me that the government haven't really understood that we need to embrace that diversity of skills. So I hope we will also see these programs that have been created to fill that void, to fill that gap, to help these kids stay engaged, really be embraced and funded properly. So the other program that's come about from the community recognising this problem is the program that's funded and called the Neil Potter Foundation, run by a young man, Matt Porter, whose father was a teacher it was named after, who really did recognise the importance of this sort of work, and funded a lot, or supported incredibly, by David Hetherington from Pacific Materials Handling and many other companies such as Midfield Meats, and Dean McKenna's been a big promoter of this program. They're going into the school, they're getting the kids, they're showing them the industries that you can get into and the careers, really helping, because the government are not funding the careers teachers in a way that they can focus on career planning and promotion. That it's sort of a secondary role that they have as a teacher, and then that's tacked on as a career teacher. So really getting behind, I hope the government takes the opportunity, to run a campaign to promote vocational education and the value of it and the value of the students who take that on, because I tell you what, I can't fix my own toilet, I can't tile my own roof, I can't look after my elderly mum all the time. I need people in the community with those skills that are very valued. So I commend all the people in my community who have also recognised this as a challenge, and let's get behind our kids and tell them all how valued they are, because everybody has a role to play, and those ones we lose out of the system that end up sitting on the couch, that never go through the milestones of work, it's our responsibility, it's our fault, and we can do better. Now, I just want to finish by saying that doesn't mean I don't value the importance of academia, and I did talk about it being part of equality. And we're about 15 days away from the end of the Year 12 school year, and that means the English exam on the 27th of October is quite soon. So I want to take this opportunity to congratulate them all who have done so well. Good luck with your exam. It is not the be-all and end-all. It does not define you. Good luck.
Minister for Consumer Affairs.